Welcome. Oh, it's me now. It's my turn. Speak now, Derek. Speak. So I couldn't see myself. That's why I went a bit strange then. Morning, everyone. How are you? Honestly, I don't know how they let me in. Let alone at this stage of proceedings as well, where we're dealing with Search for a Star as well. Now, Search for a Star was like like a national thing, really, wasn't it? We appealed and opened it up to all of you and said, actually, do any of you fancy coming in and showing off your skills with your dressmaking, your quilting, or whatever it may be? We've got a mixture of quilters and dressmakers with us right the way through this week as well. And it is day 2, so we met Angela Presley today. And today we're going to meet our gorgeous Anna Drittler, who is waiting on the other side of the studio for me to eventually arrive once we've shown you exactly what we're going to do in this hour. Now, I'll Search for a Star in the 10 o'clock hour all the way through this week. You'll be meeting a different one of our stars. And then from Friday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we will be opening up the vote to you to let us know who your favourites are. We're not necessarily just picking one winner. This is all about everyone being stars, actually, but we want to know your opinion as well. So voting will open at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon. Here are our 5 stars. So as I said, we met Angela yesterday, Anna's here today, Ellen tomorrow, Wendy on Thursday, and Jenny on Friday. And they'll each be bringing a different project with them as well. Today, Anna is working on a phenomenal quilt, a maiden voyage quilt using the Mariner's Compass design, but we're making in Liberty. So this is the bundle that I'm about to show you right now, which is the Liberty bundle. What a beautiful, beautiful quilt, isn't it? Now this is a brand new bundle today as well. So let's start from the largest quantity of fabric first, and we'll work backwards. So your background fabric here, so 4.5 meters of your ivory solid, which is your background fabric, and there's a lot of background in this quilt. This is 0.5 meter of your Saturn's Path from the Adventures in the Sky range from Liberty, and that is sort of the outer circle, if you like. It's almost like an outer circle of bunting on the outside of the design. And then we have 0.5 meters of Garden Gate Shadow in blue from Orchard Garden. And then we have Garden Gates in blue again from Orchard Garden. All beautiful new Liberty. Then you have 0.5 meter of Primula Dawn from Orchard Garden, and 0.5 meter of Peach Bloom in blue, and 0.5 meter of the Pheasant Forest fabric. Oh, Pheasant Forest fabric, that's good, isn't it? 1 PH and 2 F's even. You have 1 thread. You also have your instructions and your templates there as well. Everything you need for the front and the binding of your quilt as well. And here is the one that Anna beautifully put together for us. It's a lovely design, isn't it? So that is what that bundle will create for you. £87.99, which is amazing, let me tell you, amazing for a quilt that features Liberty fabrics. Now, which bundle should we do now? This one. We'll do the red bundle. So we're going to give you 2 different alternatives. Now, the one... now, you ready for a little walk? We're going to do the bundle now that makes this one. Now, the only difference in our bundle that I'm about to show you right now is the fabric that we've used on the binding here. Everything in the centre of the quilt, exactly the same. So the only difference is that we won't be using this particular fabric as a binding on this one. We've swapped it for another red fabric. So let's go and have a look at the fabrics then, shall we? It says walking carefully and slowly as Mike's there doing 2 cameras at once. Right, so 4.5 meters of your ivory fabric as your solid for the background. That's kind of a given in these bundles. 0.5 meter of crimson, and then here are the Moda fabrics that we've got. This is the Three Sisters range, the Rosewood Three Sisters range. So this is Floral Bouquet, 0.5 meter of that. We have Floral Garden, and then there is red floral paisley. Forgive me, Hannah's feeding me all of this. Not food. This is the red packed floral fabric, 1/2 metre of that. And then this is red floral rose arbor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/2 metres of your Moda fabrics, your 1/2 metre of your crimson solid, and your 4 1/2 metres of your ivory. The thread, the full instructions as well. This is a Lynn Goldsworthy quilt design here of the Mariner's Compass. And the finished, oh, should we go back to the middle for a second for a quick look at the finish, shall we? Yes. So, oh, okay, I'll have a look at the finished size in just a second. So that bundle that we've just been featuring, those details there, that will make this design. The only difference between our bundle and this, which was made up on a previous show, is a binding, but there's nothing in it. It will be literally the same colour shades as all of the other fabrics. I'm just going to get you the finished size as well of this quilt, which is 70-inch square. 70-inch square. Right, one more bundle. Now, again, this is Moda Three Sisters range, but a completely different colour palette here. Pop that thread there before it goes walkies. So, 4 1/2 metres of beige. Now, I don't have a finished sample of this one, and I think we're going to be working in this one actually with Anna, so we'll get to see at least a quarter-ish of it, which is great. So 4 1/2 metres of the beige, and then 1/2 metre of brown paisley floral stripe, which is easy for you to say, and then 1/2 metre of each of these fabrics from the same range as well. So floral bias, plaid, there's floral flourish, floral garden, packed floral fabric, and floral spaced bouquets, all from the Rosewood Three Sisters range from Moda. The thread is a 165, which is a sort of soft pink, just to get you kind of started, because there are pinks in those fabrics as well. There you go. Right. Okay, let's go. We can start now. I think I've got everything now. Let's have a quick look at back to the blue bundle for a second with the Liberty fabric. This is the one that Anna pre-made for us. Bless your heart as well. It must have taken an awful long time that as well. And it's lovely to meet you.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi. I'm good, thanks.
Lovely, lovely, lovely to see you. Now, you are like family to us already, really, aren't you, here at Sewing Quarter?
Kind of.
And tell us why, because anyone that's on the Sewing Quarter fans Facebook page will know you as...
I'm Anna Sewing Nut.
And who is the gatekeeper of the most incredible document index that you put together. And just give me a potted history of how that index document that everyone refers back to, our producers, everyone at home as well.
Okay, when I first watched Sewing Quarter, I wasn't too well, and I used to sleep through some of it and see some of it. And it used to really irritate me. So I created an index for myself so that in the awake hours, I could go back and see the things I'd missed.
Yeah.
And then when the fans page came up, people started asking just, can you remember when whatever was on? Can you remember what was on? And I always had the answer. And people said, well, how do you know? Aha, because I've got an index. And so it went from there.
And it's your IT background, so you've made it like a spreadsheet almost. And now you've shared it with everyone on the Sewing Quarter fans page.
Well, why not? The work's done.
So if you're not a member of the Sewing Quarter fans page yet, you need to be, because if you ever want to look up when was this made and who made it and when and where's the video where I can go and watch it, that's what you've put together for us.
And it's usually within about a week. Sometimes it gets a bit of a week behind, but it's about,
It's amazing. You're a star already. Now listen, what made you want to be in front of the camera?
Well, I have a teaching background as well, and I haven't done any of that for a while. I was doing IT training, and having not worked for a few years, my IT knowledge needs catching up.
Yes.
And I thought, well, why not have a go at teaching sewing instead? So here I am. And
it's been in your life forever anyway, has it, sewing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was that teenager that had, extra panels and things and buttons here and this, so I hate plain. I can't do anything plain, so I have to embellish everything. Mum used to sew. I've used, you know, I've always played around with the machine, and I'm really interested in how things are made. So I like to take things apart and have a good look and see if I can recreate stuff like that.
So you're a dressmaker and a quilter?
Yeah, and bags and, well, you name it, I'll have a go.
Okay. Is there a particular passion though? If I said, right, okay, you can only do one.
I think it would probably have to be the dressmaking, to be honest.
Yeah. But it's good. But actually, the dressmaking, the principles of dressmaking, have really helped you with this as well, haven't Haven't they? Because, well, I'll let you explain.
Okay.
You tell us.
Right. So there was a really good demo of this by Victoria Carrington on the 31st of December, and she took you through the instruction booklet and did all the things that are in the instruction booklet. And the instruction booklet is great, and that's a brilliant way to make it. Not for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what I found problematic about it, and that's to do with my skills and background, not that there's anything wrong with the instructions at all. And show you how I did it differently, which may appeal to some people if they have the same sort of difficulties I do in making things.
Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's see.
Have a go. So, you get a really big pack of big pack of templates, and obviously the first thing is to cut out the templates and join them up. This one has a red line in the middle to show you where to join. Some of them had dotted lines in the middle, but whatever. So you tape those together, and then it suggests in the instructions that it's like holding it up, a good thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
That you cut round the templates like this, and I was like, well. Yeah, that's all well and good, but I've got one template and there's 8 or 16, depending on which triangle you're going to cut out.
Right.
And I don't really fancy that, to be honest. Well, partly for an accuracy point of view, partly because it's paper and I didn't have any template plastic and all sorts of things that I wasn't really very keen to do that. So that's one element of it, and the other element of it is actually, when I'm sewing, all I'm interested in is where the seam line goes. Seam allowance, you know, they do the 1/4 of an inch because if you cut something very accurately and sew a very accurate 1/4 of an inch, you've got it. I wasn't confident I could always do that.
Right.
And if you're doing a square quilt and it goes a bit over, well, it just gets a bit bigger or smaller, doesn't it?
Yes.
But a round one, 360 degrees.
Yes, of course. There's less margin for slippage.
Yeah, that's right. So I thought, how am I going to deal with that? So what I decided to do was to trace the template without its seam allowance. And this is where I had freezer paper. So I won't do it because it's boring to watch, but I've stuck this down with a bit of washi tape. Freezer paper on top with a bit of washi tape and drew round the, without the seam allowance.
Yeah.
So I created myself a different template.
Okay. Without the seam allowance?
Without the seam allowance.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
And that's for 2 purposes. In this first little section, it's about the cutting.
Okay.
So then...
By the way, just to let you know, there are so many messages coming through. Thank you so much for all of them. We might not get to read all of them out.
I'll have a look later.
I don't want to put Anna off as well, but she will have a look at all of the messages as well. But thank you, it's very, very kind.
I've got a lot to say for myself, so you know.
No, it's great. You crack on. I'm happy to stand here and watch.
Right. Okay. So, what the pattern suggests is that for each fabric, it tells you what width of strip to cut. And actually, for the background, the cream stuff, I did that, but gave myself 1/2 an inch. Because I was worried. So I cut the strips as suggested, but 1/2 an inch wider. For the patterned ones, I didn't. I did these templates. I'm going to have to move this over this way, actually.
Yeah, it's fine.
So I did these templates. So this is freezer paper. It has no seam allowance, and I want to cut, how many Ds are there? 16, I think it is. 1, 2, yeah, okay. And I laid them on here, and I'm going to iron them on.
Oh, right, yes. Let me move out of the way.
Mini iron. So I ironed them on. I was quite careful about where I put them, in that I made sure there was a reasonable allowance in the middle, and that there was a layers of fabric there. And I've got lots of layers of fabric. 1, 2. I've got quite a few there, actually. And then what I did, if I can find the rotary.
I just have to model some freezer paper while you're.
Oh yeah, freezer paper. Yeah,
really
freezer paper.
Exciting. It's like.
I love it because it just sticks on.
Tin foil, cling film. It's like showing something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, freezer paper. Ta-da!
And it just keeps on going. I mean, I for the sample, and that quilt, I used the same templates. It kept sticking and sticking and sticking.
Oh, did it?
So
Over
you
and
don't
over
have to
again?
keep drawing them. And I drew 2 because I wanted to cut out at once 2 pieces. But I used those 2 templates for all of the times I needed them on this quilt and all of the times I needed them on the sample there.
Oh, cool. Just to let you know, there's 12 metres on that roll. There you go. I've modelled it now. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, so I'm going to rotary cut, and some people might be frightened about this because I don't have a ruler, okay, and it's a big sin, isn't it? But I'm going to rotary cut. My other hand is nowhere near the blade, right? So I'm just going to roughly go, what I need is about that much fabric.
Okay.
Okay, and then for these, I'm looking at splitting it down the middle.
So this is roughly first.
This is roughly.
Yeah.
And this is folded, so I probably need to take that fold off.
Oh, I'm loving this. Feels very rebellious.
Yeah, it is a bit.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, so now what I've got is
Yeah.
however many, and 2 of them have got the grease paper on.
Yes.
The rest will get it later.
Yeah.
All right. So they're all the triangular pieces. So there's, you know, these ones, these ones, these ones. I did that way. So laid it out, how much do I need roughly, and there we go. They're all ready for later.
Okay,
Okay.
right, yes.
There are another couple of bits and pieces. There's the these little triangles here.
Yeah.
The principle's the same, but I've got a strip, and it tells you the size of the strip in there, but you can... I tend to offer things up to see how big I want them, rather than I'm rubbish with a ruler. That's my tagline.
Oh, okay.
And
Hey, listen, everyone's different.
yeah, but it doesn't stop me, you know. So with these, I decided I'd make several at a time. And the A template, which is the coloured ones, is a triangle that isn't quite equilateral.
Okay.
It looks like it might be when you see the template, but it's not quite.
Slightly longer.
It's an
and
isosceles triangle, but it's only very slight.
wider. Right.
And that's important when you come to piece it. So what I did on each template is I put a little mark to show
The end
the
point.
pointy bit,
Yeah.
the more pointy bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
The outer really, isn't it, on the design?
It's, yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Oh, actually, we need to use the other side just if
Yeah,
for
you're
ironing.
right. Thank you.
Because you've broken lots of laws, but the ironing law, apparently, that really can't be broken.
That's because at home I have it a certain way round.
Yeah.
I've got this at home. I love it.
It's great,
It's
isn't it?
absolutely fantastic. I have it on a
It's
little...
really good.
I've got my sewing machine here, and I have a little trolley thing at the side, and that sits there. And when I'm doing this kind of work, I'm just, you know...
And just because we've put it on the details, I'm just going to show you the design on the outside of it as well, because it's great. You can carry it around with you as well, take it to classes, etc., and it's half cutting board, half ironing board, and the details are down there, just so that you know.
And if you don't like the owls, just cover it with something else. Mine is still owls, but, you know,
Yeah.
not everyone's thing, are
Yeah,
they?
you could too, couldn't you?
Okay, so I'm going to iron these on, and if you cut the strip according to the instructions, then you'll find that the triangles fit best with the pointy end in, because they're slightly longer that way. I mean, I've got loads of room here. But if you
Okay.
start putting them this way around, you're going to get into trouble with your seam allowances, so just leave a bit of a gap, iron them on, start together, just fairly random really. I wasn't quite as random when I did it for real, but there we go. It's a little more careful.
No, this is good. It's good to show that you can. Like Mary in Cheshire saying, Anna, you're like a pro. Anyone new tuning in think you've been doing this forever. It's absolutely true.
Oh, thanks. That's great. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is similar to what I did before.
Roughly speaking, again.
Yeah, that might be not a great place to stand, might it? I'll point it
No,
this way.
right, it's all right, it's all right, it's
I just saw your
fine.
face as
Listen, it's
as I put the rotary cutter in your direction.
fine. No, it's fine. I trust you.
Okay, and what I've done there, actually, what I meant to say is that I did eight of these, because you're going to make it in a group of 16. This gets made all together, 16 of them.
Oh, okay, right.
But I doubled it up, and you might
Yeah.
think, yeah, but you've not got the things on the other side. Well, when I've used
it's back in,
when
sorry.
I've used 8 of them, I pull it off
Yeah.
and iron it on the other side,
Okay.
because it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah. So actually, you can get through it a lot quicker than maybe.
Yeah, and also sometimes, like this one, if you look at this one here, let's get to that for a minute. Look at this one here, that's really close.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to be sewing with that kind of seam allowance.
Yeah.
But you know,
This one here, yeah.
Yeah, this one, sorry. Can you see?
All right, that's
it's
fine.
really
We've seen it,
tiny
yeah.
gap there. So I'm just going to, do you know what, just pull it
Move
off.
it out.
Hang on. Iron it a bit further in the middle.
Can I just ask you just to move your microphone just a little bit that way?
This way?
That way,
The other way.
towards the middle.
Towards the middle.
We're having a bit of crackle.
Is that
We
better?
want to hear everything. Perfect,
Can
thank
you hear me now? Great. Okay.
Eileen says, Anna Sewing Nut, font of all knowledge, best of luck. We appreciate your input on the page, says Eileen.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Eileen.
you.
So many messages coming through as well, thank you. It's amazing. I just knew straight away that you'd be amazing.
Thank you. Now, the K bit is this outside bit here. And what you get, did I bring it? In the templates, you get great big, yeah, here it is. Lots of things to stick together. And you get 2 of those.
Oh, okay, so you get this. This is all comes with it.
In your pack, you get pages and pages of things to stick together.
And they're all the right size.
Yeah, and if you've got a great big floor space and you want to lay your fabric out, what it suggests you do is lay 2 together. I've got a little drawing here because this is a bit unwieldy. Okay?
Oh, okay, yes. Let's show you this.
So,
this is a bit more.
Yeah, so that's my drawing. It's in the pattern, and that's what they ask you to do with those great big pieces. And here's the piece as it's cut out.
Ah, okay.
So,
yes.
Oh, I can't do that back to front.
Yeah, oh, it's odd, isn't it, on telly, because it's upside down and back to front.
So they fit.
So
So you can't do it either,
I can't
can you?
do it either now, yeah. Yeah, so that's what your last
Yeah, so that's what you're aiming for, okay. But what I
And then
decided
you're
to do...
doing that twice, aren't you?
Yeah, what I decided to do was I looked at this shape and I measured it and I played around with it a bit, and I realised that if you fold it in half, that's a whole lot smaller.
Oh.
I mean, it's still kind of quite whatever, but that size fitted on my table, whereas the big one, it was going to be a kitchen floor job, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you fold this in half,
Yeah.
along the... Okay, when you cut it, according to the instructions, there's a longer end and a shorter end, and that's because across the longer end, you've got the shape and some.
Yes.
The shape and some, whereas this way, you've just got the length of the shape. So you need to just make sure you've got the fabric the right way round. And then what I did is I folded it in half, and that doesn't look like it's in half, but it is. I'm dealing with this shape first. So I'm folding it so that that shape is covered by the fabric.
Yes.
And then I lined this up in the corner. I do, yeah, line that up in the corner and chopped round it.
Perfect.
And then when I opened it up, I had enough left on the other side to do it again, the other way around.
Yeah.
So you might need to just think about that, and if it helps you to draw a little, you know,
Planogram.
to have a, yeah, I mean, sometimes I do that just to, so that I don't waste fabric or I don't come up with a stupid idea. You know, if it's stupid, it's a bit of paper, isn't it?
That's true, yeah.
But that worked really well for me because it was a huge space, otherwise you were looking to...
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it on the cutting out stage.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to the sewing it up stage?
Let's.
Can I just say about the colourways, they're really different. This one, I mean, blue and white, who doesn't love blue and white?
Gorgeous,
you know,
isn't
it is really lovely. And I chose in the middle to have there's one directional fabric in here.
That's the pheasant forest one, actually,
and I
isn't
decided to put that in there. But with all the fabrics you have of the patterned fabrics, you have the same amount, so you can put whichever wherever you want to. Actually.
Okay, on all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
You're getting ½ metre, so you never need more than ½ metre of one single fabric.
No.
Because I guess these would be the ones you'd need the most of, are they? The ones in the larger.
And doing it the way I've done it, you just have to be 100% certain before you put the rotary cutter to it.
Yes.
There's still plenty.
Yeah.
And my sort of maverick, who cares about the seam allowance? It worked. But and also because I matched these are 2 of the same pattern.
Yeah, yeah.
And because I matched it down the middle, that just took a little bit more thinking. But you're either into that or you're not. I mean, it doesn't matter. This one.
Were you as Maverick cutting through just because that's a Liberty print? Because I can hear a lot of minds at home going, oh,
Liberty.
She's hacked straight through Liberty fabric.
Yeah, no, I did.
Yeah?
I did exactly the same. Yeah, I did exactly the same. Because I've got my template. I know the bit that's going to appear in the quilt because it's underneath the freezer paper.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. It looks great.
Okay, so and this one here.
Yes.
This one.
Let's bring this over and show you if we can.
I found that that one...
It's completely different, isn't it?
Completely different. And it reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever seen a mariner's compass in the floor.
Yes.
It reminded me of marquetry in the floor, that one. So it's a completely different look.
I'm going to show you... Shall I put it down, Tim? Or yeah, I'll put it down.
Vying for time while I get my...
We'll just go and have a look at the bundle.
Bits and pieces organised.
That.
Yeah, do that while I just organise the sewing section.
Because it's a beige bundle. So again, with this one, the fabric configuration is slightly different, but still your 7.5 metres of fabric. So 4.5 metres of your background fabric, of which is quite a sizable part of the quilt itself. And then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is it 5 different? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different half metres of fabric. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. Full instructions anyway, with them, plus Anna's guidance now as well to shortcut. Would it shortcut? Just different way of doing it.
It's just a different way of doing it because the way I'm doing it, you're doing a bit of sewing and then cutting a bit more and doing a bit of sewing, cutting a bit more. And whereas some people like to cut it all out and get it all really perfect before and then just sew.
Go for a sew.
So it's just different. And for me, the accurate cutting, that much accurate cutting, especially around a piece of paper, was just not for me. And also my 1/4 inch is dubious, so this just works better for me because it eliminates the worry about that. I've got here a D and a C, which is these two sewn together. And the freezer paper template's still on here. I'm just going to iron it back on because it's travelled a bit. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I put the other side on, and then I'm going to show you how to put this on and how to put this on.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Lovely. We've got plenty of time, which is good.
Let me just, excuse me. So what I do is use, glasses on, use this freezer paper as the stitch line, because I know that's where I want the stitches to be.
Okay, yes.
Because it's the same shape as this.
Yeah.
And on the machine, I've got a little diagram of this too. On the machine, I'm using the stitch in the ditch foot. It looks a little bit like the 1/4 inch foot, but the blade's in a different place. The blade is in the middle, not on the side.
Yes.
And if you look head on to that foot, it looks like this. Can we see that? There we go. Yeah. So this is the blade running down the middle of the foot, so the foot's here, and it's got like a little cutout. And if you want your stitches to stitch exactly where that blade is, which in this case I do, I need my needle to go in there.
Okay, yes.
So there is a little bit of adjustment to do on the machine. You have to make sure that your needle is across far enough to go, you can't really see it on here because it's so tiny, to go in that in-betweeny thing. And I very much recommend that you hand twist it and have a look. Just so that you can... Yeah, because if you haven't quite got it, it'll hit and you'll have snap needles and horrible noises and frighten yourself, okay? Yeah. So I'm on this one... You don't want to do that on live TV, do you? No. On this one, I've taken it across to 3.9. Okay. And on mine at home, which is the same machine, it was variable 4 or 3.9, because I think as you work, your needle gets slightly bent. And I think I started off with 4, and then after I'd done a few, I had to move it to 3.9. Okay. So let's get my rubbish out of the way. That's worth knowing actually on a project like this. If you are someone who does all the cutting, then all of the sewing, that actually... Just keep an eye on it. Yeah. I mean, you'll know because when you start sewing, it'll start getting further or slightly further away. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is... Here's my... This is my... You can see I've used some already. This is the C strip, and it's cut to 1/2 inch bigger than it told you in the thing. I think it was 13 and a half. Oh, that's centimetres. 13. Yeah, so they asked you to do it 13 and a half. I did it 14 and a bit, just to give me some wiggle room. Okay. And here's my template C, which I've cut seam allowances off. Ah, okay, yes. Right. The cream ones I didn't do in freezer paper. The cream goes on slightly differently from the colours.
So it's this one that we're doing here at the moment.
Yeah, that's what we're doing, yeah.
Right, let me just show you the little diagram as well, just so we can sort of keep track of that. So this is what we're working on right now, adding 2 C's to a D.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So I need my cream fabric offered up to the here. So I'm going to sew down there. Sew down that line there. Okay. So I offer up my C fabric. This is a little bit like foundation paper piecing in a way.
Oh, okay, yes.
Offer up my C fabric. I'm not worried about the seam allowances too much. What I do need to make sure of is that when I have sewn it, there's going to be enough fabric for the C template.
I get,
And what you don't do,
I like this.
What you don't do is match the points, because this is what happens when you match the points. I did it twice. Very beautiful.
Right. Should we show Mike's camera?
Very beautiful.
Yeah.
Completely wrong. Different quilt. Okay, so that looks great, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
But if you look at the quilt itself, it's not the right shape. The point goes that way, and the wide bits of C are at that end.
Yes.
And I really wanted to point that out because I did it more than once.
Oh, okay. Right. Good to know.
Okay, so what I need to do is I just need to check. So there's my cream fabric underneath.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going to sew it. And I'm just going to check with this template, remembering it doesn't have seam allowances on it.
Yes.
That I'm going to have enough
of the cream fabric.
Enough of the cream fabric, and
allow.
I do. And the places to watch are the edges here, which is why I cut the strips half an inch bigger, just to give me that wiggle room.
Yes.
All right, so now I'm going to sew, and I'm going to sew down using that blade. And remember, this is tele sewing. Where's the foot? So
it's for a walk.
Yeah. I'm standing up and I can't see, and okay, and off we go. And for me, following a line with that blade is easier than dealing with the half-inch thing. But normally I wouldn't be quarter of an inch thing. I wouldn't be talking while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so freezer paper on there, and I've sewn down, can't remember which edge now, that edge.
Yes.
Using the lip as a guide.
Okay.
So D is now perfect.
It's there, yeah.
Right. So what are we going to do with C? I open it out. What I'm going to do now is get my C template.
Which is minus its seam
minus its seam allowances. It's got it on that end actually, but and I'm going to line it up with that stitching. So, because in the quilt they run next to each other, don't they?
Yes.
Without the seam allowances. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the bottom. I don't really need to mark the bottom. I'm going to mark where the next piece will need to go. So if I fold that seam allowance over, that might make it more obvious. So all I've done there is just marked.
Yep, so the very end.
Yeah.
Minus the seam allowance.
Minus the seam allowance.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I could do is, like, draw the line up to show me where the next thing's going to go.
Yes.
But I didn't do that.
Okay, so you're going to do this. You're cutting now, are you?
I'm going to cut now.
And you're going to do that eye from that point to that point?
No, well, sort of. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is, because you don't want too much of a seam. I mean, sometimes doing it this way, you get all sorts of funny seam allowances in there. That's not a bad one, actually, is it? But I ended up with all sorts of bits and pieces in there.
Yeah.
So the add a quarter is your friend. And what I was doing each time before I did new seams was to just, a bit like foundation paper piecing, take that off to
just trim down,
to a quarter. And this long one is great for that.
Yes.
So that you don't, because a lot of people say, yeah, but if she hasn't got a quarter of an hour seam, it's going to be really bulky, and you're right, it will be. So that's how to get your quarter of an inch after the event.
Back down.
Yeah. So so what I'm going to do now is, eyeball. And if you're worried at all, stick a ruler in. Do it against a ruler, or just use the ruler to give you a.
I'm spectating. I'm interested to see.
Right.
How
So
it
now
works.
I'm going to go.
Okay, so that's roughly speaking, that's
roughly what I want. Yeah.
preformed.
If it doesn't go around corners terribly well.
Lovely message from Carol here in North Yorkshire, my home county. Annie, you're so refreshing as a superstar. Thank you for all your tips. Brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so what goes on next is template G. So template G.
So we're not actually...
So I've done this bit.
Yes.
I've put these two bits on.
Yeah.
Neither of them are cut to size. One of them's slightly better than the other because I did one at home and I've done one just now. But so they're both marked.
Yeah.
And the next thing we're going to do, as per the instructions, is put this thing on the bottom.
Okay.
Which is template G.
Okay.
So here's my
time for your first time marshal check.
Okay.
We've got about 14 minutes left.
Oh, crikey.
Just to let you know.
Okay, so there's template G.
Yep. Don't worry if we don't get it all finished.
Similar
it's about
thing.
what you're doing, not how much you do.
Yeah. Similar thing. I know that looking at my line here, that's where I'm going to sew. I know that my template G needs to match that line.
Okay, yes.
And I'm going to put the offer the fabric up, do it the other way around, offer the fabric up, check that template G, it's covered, yes it is. And then what I'm going to do is the same thing, exactly the same thing. And then I can just quickly move on to show you how you then use the things I've marked to put the next piece on.
So you don't pin or use clips or anything like that? You
No.
Go for it?
Yeah.
Well, it works. Look at that quilt. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
absolutely stunning. You did all of this.
Yeah,
with this
absolutely,
method.
absolutely.
Fantastic.
So again, I'm going to mark template G on here. That's the wrong template. It should have been template E. There we go. Template E on here. Mark that dot. That's all I need. And then I'm just going to whip the end off like that. Okay. Then this next bit's important in the sewing, and then we can be done with the sewing if we want. That's fine. I haven't got an F piece cut out, so I'm going to have to do that as well. So I'm going to iron on an F template. This one I did very slightly differently because it's got a stripe on it. I wanted to have the stripe up the middle, so I wasn't quite so maverick in the placing of my ironing on the ironing board side, Anna. I was a little bit more careful about, you know, like that careful about where I go.
A little bit more careful.
Well, the stripes
There might have been an extra half second in that, you know. I think that's brilliant, though. I really do. It is refreshing because I think sometimes, you know, quilting can look ever so concentrated.
Yeah.
And actually,
you're supposed to enjoy it, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's my F stripe. And, okay, are you watching? Where did I put the other bit? Is that it? Yeah. It blended into the...
Just disappeared.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is that this bit requires a slightly more accuracy. Only slightly. So, I lied. I did use pins.
She's got pins.
Okay, and that should have been on the reverse side.
Okay.
So this piece is going to go on back to front, but never mind. It's the principle that counts. So what I'm doing here is I'm lining this up, so this again doesn't have its seam allowances on, with the place that I marked from the other template that it was supposed to go. So let's have a look where we can see the marks. This one's got quite good marks on it. So pin through that gap there. That's where my, it's that end that goes on.
Yes.
It's very tempting to put the points to the points. I don't know why that is, it just is. And then this one goes through that mark that I made at the top, which is the edge of the C template, and pop that through there. And then what I did is thought quite carefully about which way round it is, which is really nonsense because I've put the fabric on back to front.
Shall we put the freezer paper back on the right way? Because that might help the navigation, won't it?
It might do. Hang on, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to put right sides together. It's that corner, isn't it, that needs to go on? There we go, that's it. That's fine. I don't mind the reverse of the fabric. I've just got the wrong.
Okay.
I've got the wrong corner.
Cool.
Okay, so those corners are now.
There are so many messages coming in,
secured.
and people say, "Wow, I like this lady. I love Anna. She's brilliant." Wendy, just as an example of those, thank you. There are so many coming in. Wendy and Rhonda says, "Love your way of working. Nice to see an alternative way of working. Hope to see you more."
Ooh, lovely.
Voting opens 1 o'clock on Friday.
Oh God,
although I don't think there's going to be. Don't worry about the voting thing, and don't worry about the voting thing at home. You won't be, you won't be being unkind to one or the other or anything else. We just want a rough idea of who you've enjoyed. So we've decided to do it like a vote, but it's not like a, you know, we won't say, right, that's it, we're not taking your calls anymore. If you were number 4 or 5, it doesn't really matter, it's just for fun. It's not like the sewing bee where there's...
Okay. So Tell You Sewing has made that all go crinkled, but you get the point. So what I'm saying now is, with a combination of sewing up the edge of the freezer paper and just marking the points on the cream,
yes,
you get the seam in the right place.
You do.
No 1/4 inches to worry about, no desperately accurate cutting to worry about.
Yeah.
Da-da-da. Done. I think the only other sewing I was going to do, which I won't do now because time's moving on, was this bit here. And the only reason really for telling you that was make sure you get the triangles the right way round.
Yes.
This is an equilateral triangle. It does have a different letter. It's a B.
Right.
And this is the A. And yes, you've got to make sure that that pointier bit is the one that goes up here, because that's what makes it slowly curve.
Yes.
And the same as Victoria Carrington said when she did it, you do 3 or 4 and you think, oh, how is this ever going to curve? By the time you get to 5 or 6, you start to see it.
Yeah.
You start to see it curve. In the edges here, there are different templates because you make the quilting quarters and it joins up here. And I just did the same thing. I popped a piece on the edge and then chopped it up afterwards.
Fantastic. Now we're going to talk about, we teased it at the beginning, about how the principles of dressmaking, you've kind of looked at quilting, but I'm going to come back and talk about that in just a second, because I just need to nip over here and do the bundles. So, so this is the one that Anna pre-made, the one that we're looking at behind, so the one we've been referencing all the way through the show. So that's this bundle here, and that is the Liberty bundle. So this is the Orchard Garden range, so you get 4.5 meters of your ivory as your background fabric, and then you get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 half meters of your Liberty Orchard Garden, your thread, plus the Lynn Goldsworthy instructions as well. And actually, we've seen 2 different demonstrations of this, very different demonstrations actually. So the one from Victoria Carrington, which was December the 19th, I think it was, and of course from Anna today as well, which is a very different approach. I quite like it, actually. I do like it. Very, very busy. Lots of those in baskets right now. However you choose to actually proceed with it. Right, bundle number 2 is the red bundle, which is the one that we had in the, well, we have in the centre of the studio. So I'll show you the bundle very, very quickly, and then we'll go and have a look at the finished quilt. So there is the bundle. Again, 4.5 meters of the ivory, and then you've got 1 meter of your crimson, and then, sorry, half meter of crimson, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Moda fabrics. And here is the kit with its instructions, and here is. Now the only difference between the kit and this is actually the binding material. So this was made with exactly the same kit but a slightly different binding material. It's all the same colours anyway, so you'll be fine. Fabric. What did I say? Did I say material? Sorry. Oh, people still say material, don't they? Yeah. Fabric, material. Anyway. Oh, Christine in County Durham, just another quick message, says applause. So we'll do applause. Well done, Anna Sewing Nut. You are awesome. Always brilliant to show different techniques. Thanks. Thank you, Christine. Here is the bundle that we're making up right now, we've been demoing with in this hour. So again, this is a Moda. So 4.5 meters of the beige this time, and it's the Moda Rosewood Three Sisters range. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, lost count then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 6 half meters of those Moda Rosewood Three Sisters fabrics. And the thread and the instructions there as well. £78.99. Now when it comes to the quilt itself, for your quilt sandwich, you will need some wadding. The finished size of this quilt is 74-inch square, I do believe. 78-inch square? No. 70-inch square, I beg your pardon. Sorry, so many quilts today. 70-inch square, thank you, Anna. Depending on what you prefer to quilt with, this is your Lunar Soft and Elegant. This is 72 by 90, so obviously you will have some left over. It does actually suggest, if you are getting it long arm quilted, you might need a slightly bigger wadding than this. In fact, it suggests a 78-inch square for your 70-inch quilt. Oh, sorry, Victoria Carrington has just been in touch with us. Sorry, we're not December the 19th, December the 31st, New Year's Eve, would you believe? So if you want to see the previous demonstration of the same quilt by Victoria Carrington, December the 31st. Thank you, Victoria, bless you. It's good to see all our guests are watching, going, oh, that silly boy's got the wrong date again. So there's your batting. Right, coming back now to talk about deconstruction. Because, well, you tell me, Anna, deconstruction, how has deconstruction helped quilting?
Well, from a dressmaking point of view, I quite often see things and I think, oh, that's interesting. How's that done? And dressmaking is a very 3D kind of thing, and it's not always obvious unless your mind works particularly well in that way, and mine doesn't really, to work out how things are done. And sometimes I'll see something in a charity shop and I think, that's an interesting design. Look at the shapes on that, can't work it out. So I'll pick it up for £1 or £2 and I'll go home and I'll get the scissors to it and cut the seams away and have a look at lay the shapes out. Right,
so this isn't part of your method of making. This is
no, don't do this when you finished it.
No, this is Anna's thoughts. Go on.
So what I thought would be quite interesting with this is, rather than talk about watching it go together, because sometimes you think, yes, as this block goes to that block and this goes to that block, but I can't really see the whole. I can't understand what's going on here.
The genesis.
Is I'm going to just do it backwards.
Okay.
So.
You've got scissors in your hands.
Sacrilege, I know. So this is undoing it, obviously in the opposite order to which I put it together, but sometimes that helps.
Yes.
So the last thing to go on, so you make it in quarters. This is a quarter.
Yeah.
So you make 4 of these and it all goes together. So the last thing that you do is put this on. And
the nation is gasping.
I know, she's cutting it up. Oh my gosh.
Breath.
Okay, so that was the last thing you put on.
Okay.
Should we?
So that gives you that, yeah. So that's what you mean about it going around the corner. That's its natural curve as you're piecing it because of the shape.
Because of the shape of those triangles, if you get them the right way around.
Away you go.
Yeah.
So that's gone.
Okay, and then before you did that, you had 2 pieces that looked like this, and this was the previous seam. Put these 2 together.
Right.
So before you put that curve on, you've made 2 8s.
2 quarters, yeah. 8s, yes.
2 8s.
Yes.
So that comes in 2 high. And these are exactly the same as one another. If you, as you put them side by side, you can see they're identical. Yeah.
Very Art Deco now, aren't they?
Yeah, which is why I kept putting the spikes up the wrong way round.
Yeah.
And then the last thing you do on these sections is put these sides on. So I'll just do one now. That's what it did look like. So before I sewed them together, I had to put these sides on. And this is something to watch, actually, because these pieces are very similar, but they're different fabrics, so it's quite easy.
Okay.
I didn't, actually, but it's quite easy to get one on the
wrong
side. Yeah. Because the piece here that you're left with is totally symmetrical. Okay. And then to make this piece of pie, the pieces of pie, this is like 2 pieces of pie now, or 3 pieces of pie. The tail goes on.
I'll take the middle one, please.
There.
It's nearly that time, isn't it?
Okay. And this one gets sewn into the middle.
That's what we were just making, wasn't it?
I was just doing that bit, yeah.
Okay,
so you have 2 pieces of
2
pie.
of those side by side, yeah.
You sew that onto there, and that onto there, and then put the bottom on, all right? And then to make this piece of pie, that was your E template, and, just for fun, why not?
You've started now.
Started now.
So I take it we're not going to finish this one then?
No, maybe not. Don't fancy putting that back together. So there you go. So we could do it back to how long have we got? Minute or 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you start with that, you put that on and another one on and put the end on. You make 2 of those, there's the other one.
Yeah.
You attach that to that, and that to that, which makes that piece of pie with its end on. You put these sidey bits on, sidey bits, technical term, sidey bits on to make that 1/8.
Yeah.
You make 2 of those, pop them together, and then put your curves on. Ta-da.
Oh, curves. Hang on.
Yeah, grab
Got the curves here. See, I knew we'd need those back
yeah,
at some
yeah,
stage. Right, let's do the finishing touches then, shall we?
There you go.
Look at that.
Ta-da.
Looks fab, doesn't it?
That's it. And that's about all I have to say on the matter for today.
Bless you. Penny says, oh wow, Anna, cutting it up. What a helpful demo. That's very
good.
true, actually.
I wasn't sure how that would go down, really.
No,
but
it is, well,
for me,
you know,
particularly with dressmaking, that's how I learn, by chopping it up and seeing what the pieces look like.
There's a long day. I'm sure a lot of people will be looking at it and thinking, but actually it makes a lot of sense when you do it, doesn't it? Completely and utterly. Because actually that is something you would do in dressmaking. So
Yeah,
you'd
definitely.
see design a pair of trousers or a skirt or a top or whatever it may be, and completely and utterly deconstruct.
Yeah.
And then understand how to put it back together.
Yeah.
So that actually leads to a design for yourself in the future as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is amazing. That hour, how quick did it go? Like that?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they just go so quickly. I'm sure you'll be back with us before not long.
Well, if I want to come back.
Thank you very much. You were a
Of course I
star.
do
You
want to
are a
come
star.
back.
And thank you for everything else you do as well with
That's fine.
with our index.
Yeah, while I can't sleep, you'll get it. I have some nights where I can't sleep. We're not allowed to run the sewing machine, of course, or the overlocker particularly, while people are asleep.
Yeah.
So if I wake up really early, a bit of index gets done.
Very inconsiderate of people to be sleeping.
I know.
While you're sewing. Thank you, Anna. It's been lovely to meet you as well.
you.
I will see you again soon. I hope so. Remember, Anna is the second of our Search for a Star stars. Come on, come with me, you. And we are going to be meeting 3 more as the week goes by, and then we will open up voting on Friday lunchtime at 1 o'clock. Now listen, we're not being strict about this voting thing. We're not particularly looking for one particular person. I would imagine that a lot of the people that we're going to be seeing this week will be popping in and seeing us from time to time as well. But it's a good idea to get just a yardstick feel for how you feel about everybody that you've seen as well. So we're going to be opening up the voting on Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock. So we finish our live show on Friday. We open up the voting for the whole weekend until 1 o'clock on Monday afternoon. We'd love to hear what you think. We'll talk to you about voting and how to do it and everything else at the end of the week as well. But let's have a quick look at the bundles now for that quilt. Let's start with the one that Anna had made up for us over there, which was the Liberty bundle. 4.5 meters of your ivory, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 half meters of your Liberty Orchard Garden fabrics there, plus the thread and the instructions as well. £87.99, XEXC 07. There you go. Very good. That's not easy to say either. Next, we'll go to the red bundle, which of course we had up on the wall in the middle there. Slightly different configuration of fabric in so much as you have 4.5 meters of the ivory and 1 meter of the crimson. Oh no, it's half meter, isn't it? And then, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half meters of your Moda Rosewood Three Sisters fabrics. You can see the full breakdown of these on the website. The instruction there as well. Demoed by Victoria Carrington on the 31st of December, which is New Year's Eve. And now, today as well, by our own Anna Sewing Nut. Fantastic. Right, and the final bundle, the one that we've just deconstructed. I know, we're all watching in shock. No, it's good, isn't it, to deconstruct a project like that? It's very brave, I have to say. It really does help, actually, when someone goes backwards rather than forwards sometimes, doesn't it? So this 4.5 meters of ivory even, sorry, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 half meters. Yeah, it's not ivory at all, is it? It's beige. Sorry. It's because it's the longest one, and it's ivory in the other two. It's beige in this one, I do beg your pardon. And 6.5 meters of that Rosewood Three Sisters range Moda fabric there as well. Plus a thread. Good. Wonderful. Right, next up, we're going to take a little short break right now, just so that we can all think about it. And then we come back with a brand new book, and we come back with teddy bears, a quilt, and Kerry Hockham. What more could you want? So I tell you what, might be time to go and grab a cup of tea, a brew, a biscuit or two, whatever. Put the cat out, the dog in, or the other way around, whichever you need to do. Let the cat back in, bless it. See you back here in 3 minutes' time with Kerry and a fabulous teddy bear quilt. Have you been watching Sewing Quarter but still thinking about placing that first order? Then the new year is the perfect time to start shopping with our brand new offer for brand new customers worth $29.98. Not only will we send you 2 meters of fabric worth $14.99, but also the official Sewing Quarter sewing kit, also worth $14.99. The kit contains everything you need for sewing on the go and those last minute fixes. Simply make that first exciting purchase with no minimum spend and we'll add these gifts to your order automatically while stocks last. So start shopping and let us wish you Happy New Year with these Sewing Quarter essentials.